Wig Hello Drama, who's bringing us all the drama from Bethenny Frankel. Now, Bethenny tagged some of the Bravo celebrities who have contacted her and want to get involved in her pursuit for a reality TV union. If you guys don't know, well, we're going to keep you pretty freaking posted here. Bethenny Frankel, well, she has kind of spearheaded this. Now, reality TV stars are gearing up to sue Bravo and NBC Universal for depraved mistreatment. They're alleging mental health and sexual exploitation. And Bethenny is on top of all of this. So in a letter, this was a legal letter obtained by Page Six on August 4th, the networks were said to have put their stars through grotesque and depraved mistreatment and of making deliberate attempts to manufacture mental instability by providing their talent with alcohol while depriving them of food and sleep, as well as denying mental health treatment for those displaying obvious and alarming signs of mental deterioration. They're also accused of distributing and or condoning the distribution of non-consensual X-rated material and the distribution of revenge X-rated material, which you guys know starts with the P, but we don't want to get clocked here on YouTube. Now, while no exact details were given in regards to the revenge X-rated material, including names, the case went on to suggest that the networks are guilty of covering up acts of sexual violence as they were asked to preserve information about violence at hand that they're talking about. Well, I'm going to show you guys this because Bethenny did tag a few of the reality TV stars who have reached out to her, and I'm surprised that Tom Sandoval is one of them.
Pose subject to modification. I did not buy the idiot guide to starting a union in 24 hours, but these are fair. These are ways that talent can understand compensation without having to try to audit a multi-billion-dollar powerful company that hides money in different places and likes to try to pretend that everything equals a show expense, so you never get any of the gross. For unscripted talent with shows that make it to air, the minimum should be $5,000 per episode. Talent should receive a 10% raise each season. If the show is a huge success and ratings have increased, it's subject to negotiation or the talent can walk away. It is, in fact, their real lives. So for networks and streamers to be trapping people, not allowing them to do other things and forcing them to expose their real lives on reality television is unconscionable. Talent gets 10% of their last negotiated talent fee for additional. These are the 10 cycles. That if a network has a season and decides to re-air that season, talent gets 10%. If a streamer decides to keep that on, talent gets 10% of their talent fee each additional year. Any additional entities airing that show, i.e. Peacock, will also pay 10% to the talent. On shoot and promotional days, talent gets a per diem $100 a day. Now to retroactive. Starting right now, series talent that has not been paid for shows that have been airing with no compensation should receive $5,000 per season retroactively from each distributor. So I should be paid $5,000 per year from streamers and from networks for shows that have aired after the original season. If they don't want to pay moving forward, the content should be taken down. And the content should not be watched or consumed. It should be boycotted. Talent is not required to give any proceeds of their business to a network or streamer, eradicating the Bethenny clause. Cycles. That means that if a network, these terms are now the new Bethenny clause. Talent should not be prohibited from promoting specific brands on their social media so the networks and streamers can try to garner that income for themselves. Talent shall receive a percentage of proceeds from ancillary merch from the gross. 5% if it's a solo act, 2.5% if it's an ensemble. For other properties, for example, YouTube, which the networks and streamers make a lot of money off of those clips using your name and likeness and talent's intellectual property, talent should receive a percentage of the gross. Now, these are specific, but subject to modification, but they're fair. These terms are now the new Bethenny clause.
Okay. So in this video, she tagged a few of the people, and you guys might recognize some of these people. Maybe not Joe Frost or Caitlin. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Snooki, you have Snooki, Joe Frost, Caitlin Bristow, Stassi Schroeder, Heidi Montag, Tom Sandoval, Hannah Berner, Paige DeSorbo, Hannah Brown, Chrissy Teigen, and Jenny Farley. Now, the fact that Tom Sandoval actually attached himself to this is such a ballsy move, considering he is still very much so filming for Vanderpump Rules season 11 And when you are under contract with Bravo or NBCU, you are in what we like to call a chokehold, which means that's happening right here with Lala going on and saying that Sheena could have gotten a lot of trouble for going to Lake Tahoe. When she went after Lake Tahoe, Sheena went on Amazon Live and she shared a moment that she had with Tom Sandoval where Brock ended up wanting to go golfing. So Sheena had to partner with Tom in this like meditation thing where you get it out. Well, she said, I cried my eyes off. Like my eyelashes were hurting. It was crazy. When she did this, Lala was like, Sheena, what did you do? You're going to get in so much trouble, because you do get in trouble. You have to walk the line when you are under contract, at least the current contracts for Bravo and NBCU, and Tom Sandoval joining this is definitely not doing that. Jason, I'm opening this up for questions now. Please.
I want to know how you feel about the top 10 terms she named.
I think that first of all, these are fucking amazing. Especially as someone who's friends with so many of our friends are reality TV talent. And it was before we even started YouTube. You know, we were in the mix of everything, and we know a lot of people, and a lot of our friends rely on this income. And one of the biggest conversations that you and I hear all the time from our friends who are currently on reality TV shows or who are not anymore is like, how are we protected? What do we do after this? What does our future look like? Because even though they're getting paid a shit ton of money, and I understand that that is the argument here, people are like, you have no real talent. That's the argument.
That is the argument. Yes. Okay. So, I was conflicted about it earlier because when Bethenny compares, and this is a conversation I was having with one of our moderators and subscribers who is also a very working actor, and I kind of agree with the consensus of when Bethenny compared the actors and writers strike to maybe doing a strike for reality TV people. The thing is, when you're an actor, that is your profession, that is your job. You train for this your whole life. It's just very different. Most reality TV stars, i.e. the Real Housewives of whatever, come in with already a profession, with already some kind of, whatever. So I really agree with everything that she spoke on right there, especially when it comes to retroactive pay to royalties. I think royalties would be really important for reality TV. Go back to Christmas I was watching Below Deck season 1 with Adrienne Gang, right? We've had Adrienne on the show before. We've talked to her. We know her in person. She's very different than she was on the show way back then. And now this is reemerging. She should be paid for that, but to say this is like some kind of they're talent, but not really talent, if that makes sense. They produce a show and they're good. They're personalities, 100%. But it's just very different. And that's where I was on the fence with it last week. I wasn't trying to judge anybody's ability for what they do on television because, like someone pointed out in the comments last week, like, you can't do what Lala can do. No, I would never make the choices she makes. But these are the choices she makes, and it makes great television,
right? And I think the difference here is you're comparing sort of apples and oranges here. When you're an actor, you have a real talent, right? And what we're saying is
that's their profession. That's what they do for a job.
Right. A Kim Kardashian, a Snooki, a Tom Sandoval, a Paige DeSorbo, a Stassi. What's your talent? But
they already have most of them had a profession before coming on to TV.
But even when you go on, the thing is when you go on a show, I personally, because we sat there in that seat for Vanderpump Rules, the interview seat, we saw the contract, and you and I, like, our jaws dropped, right? And looking at it, I'm like, yes, if you're going to go into something with this much anxiety, knowing I'm putting my real life out there, all of us are so quick to jump on each other's, down each other's throats for every little thing that we do, and we just get to see a glimpse in each other's lives. These people put their whole lives out there for us to sit there and completely rip them apart or praise them to get them to the top and then rip their asses back down because we want to humble them. But no matter what, we're going in on them and we have something to comment on every single thing that they do. Mind you, they signed the contract, but do I think that you should get royalties and be protected while doing this? Yes, it's still a job.
Right.
So,
I mean, it is still a job, and NBC, Universal, they have a shit ton of money, you know, and I do believe that talent should be treated a little better than they're treated now, especially, like I said, when it comes to back pay. Yeah, like Kate said, no talent bashing. If it's able to go on in repeats, then residuals should be paid, especially when you're repeating a show that was on, you know, like Below Deck season 1, like 10 years ago.